All right. This is new for me, but I'm going to give it a shot. Um, I wanted to talk about Bitcoin a little bit as I've been getting a few people that have been asking me to do a video just explaining what it is and the importance of it. So I'm going to give it a shot. Sorry if this video sucks or I'm a little awkward being on camera. It's the first time I've done anything like this. So here we go. So what Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic, form of cash. So basically, I can send any amount of money anywhere in the world, and it's completely peer to peer. There's no government, third party, bank, no middleman involved. So it's a very cheap way to move money. Um, so Satoshi is actually the creator of Bitcoin, but it doesn't really matter who the creator is because it's just an open source protocol. What that means is anybody can work on it. Um, it's a decentralized, consensus based system, which means that there's anybody in the world, any user or anybody who wants to can run the software to be a part of the network. Um, there's 21 million coins that'll ever be mined, and there's a halving schedule. Every 4 years, it becomes more and more limited until you get to that cap of 21 million. A lot of people think, oh, it's Bitcoin's $3,500 or $20,000. When it was at the all-time high, I can't afford that. In all reality, you can. It's You may not be able to afford a whole coin, but each coin is divisible by 100 million. So it's actually 0.0, 8 times. So, even if the value, goes up to $1 million per Bitcoin, you can still go out and buy a cup of coffee, just be 0.00001 3 whatever, or, depending on, the price of the coffee. But it's a new technology. It was formed in Satoshi released the white paper on October 31st, 2008. And then he mined the Genesis block, which is the first, um, mined block in Bitcoin, which happened in January 3rd, 2009. And it's a really important, network because it is driven by consensus. So nobody can cheat. Code is law. It's not some government, or bank dictating, the currency issuance or anything. I mean, it's all like prefabricated in the code that, this is you know, the currency issuance rate. It has to do with computing power. So you have, along with the halving and the more people that mine, you have a difficulty rate. So it gets more and more difficult as competition drives difficulty rate. So the more miners that are competing, the harder it is, and the more computing power that you need, or like the hash rate is what they call it. Currently, you'd need, I mean, for me and you, to mine, it would just be hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point to mine anything. When it was first created, you can mine it on your computer, laptop, but obviously it's caught on, and it's become, very competitive and difficult to mine. But that's a good thing. It keeps the network secure. But along with miners, you have nodes, and what a node is basically it's a participant in the network where you actually connect to 8 other people or 8 other nodes, and you help confirm transactions and stuff that the miners confirm. So you're just making sure that um, you know everything's staying secure, everything's validated properly. It's just a checks and balance thing because it's basically just a general ledger. Like you have a wallet, and you have like private keys that access the the sending of Bitcoin basically signs the transaction that's saying that, hey, this is valid. Um, and it's all open, so you can actually there's no identities signed to any wallets or anything. Um, so you have like a wallet identifier that's on the blockchain, which is basically a general ledger that anyone can see. So there are some privacy issues right now. It is pretty easy to track people spending. If that's why it's important to not share, um, basically like your savings account number with people, because they can see all your transactions, same type of thing. Um, so privacy is a big issue, just like the internet. Um, but we kind of took a different route with the internet, and privacy is pretty much non-existent in the internet. You can pretty much track anything. So the core developers of Bitcoin, the people that maintain the network and um, implement, they're called BIPs, which stands for, it's BIP, which stands for Bitcoin Improvement Protocols. So that there are different updates that any one user developer can write code and say, hey, I got this idea, check it out. If the network, if everyone agrees upon it and has consensus approval of the network, they will go ahead and make that an update. Privacy is a big thing that people are working on right now because, it's important. Like, I don't want everybody to know, if I'm sending, money to buy a house or buy, a car or, even just a cup of coffee. I mean, it's nobody's business. It's called freedom. Government, kind of doesn't agree with that. They want to know everything. So, but I mean, Bitcoin's sound money. I got into it in early 2013. The price of Bitcoin was under $100. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone was making fun of me, and and people started asking me questions about it. And it's difficult to explain to people. I've been studying it, pretty much every day. It's consumed my life because it's really fascinating. But it makes you realize what makes money, and I don't think the U.S. dollar is a very good currency because we used to be on the gold standard, the U.S. dollar, but in 1913 the Federal Reserve was formed, and Federal Reserve it's kind of misleading. They throw the word federal in there, thinking that the common person's going to think it's government controlled, but it's not. It was the Federal Reserve is just a handful of bankers, and they're the ones that control the U.S. dollar and the inflation rate and how much money is being printed. And it's a dangerous thing. I mean, they don't have to abide by the rules by the government. There's no oversight of them, and I mean, you're kind of an idiot to keep your money in a bank because your inflation rate, your the interest that the bank pays you annually is like 0.1%, which is like basically nothing. Government defines inflation around like 4%, which if you ask me, it's a lie. It's closer to 10% because the things that they don't factor in are, home prices, your health insurance. Our health insurance, pretty much like goes up by 20 or 50% every year. And I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, perfect example. I mean, look at your iPhone here. Like 10 years ago, I paid $400 for an iPhone. Now it's over $1,200. I mean, it's just, everyone just kind of sits back and, it's just so comfortable with it and just like, oh, well, I need to make more money, or I need, banks make money off of you by, you getting yourself into trouble and overextending yourself with credit. And I mean, it's fraudulent. I mean, it's reckless. Like we're debt slaves basically. I mean, college students. I mean, banks give them credit cards like, you know, like it's free candy, and they're young and reckless, and it's like, oh, I got free money, I'm gonna go, you know, buy whatever, and they can't afford it. I mean, school prices alone are, you know, ridiculous. Um, there's so many better ways to get education now these days. Unless you're a doctor or something, but that's just my opinion. Um, but yeah, I mean, another thing is like, what makes sound money is a store of value. I mean, when back to the Federal Reserve, when it was formed in 1913, $1 in 1913 is equivalent to less than 2 cents today. How is that good money? If you have, and that's what they do with printing. I mean, they print so much money that it makes the people holding, those dollars, they're just taking money away from you. And Bitcoin is the opposite. It's instead of an inflationary currency, it's a deflationary currency, meaning that it, slowly over time, the inflation rate, and then it's a capped currency. There's never going to be more, more Bitcoin produced than the 21 million. And that's something that is important because, you want to know the inflation rate. Try asking bankers what the inflation rate of, the U.S. dollar. They can't tell you, nor do they want to tell you, because it'd be a huge uproar if they told you how much money they print and what they do with their money. I mean, it's reckless. And there's just one second here. Oh shoot. But I mean, there's different ways to purchase Bitcoin. The miners usually sell the coins if they don't hold them for long-term, gains or whatever. They'll sell it what they have to on exchanges, and you can get on exchanges and purchase Bitcoin. The problem I have with that is Bitcoin isn't KYC, know your customer, because it's just code. But when you purchase Bitcoin on like an exchange or something, because of regulations in the U.S., it's different all around the world. But they'll require you to, just like anything else these days, you have to type your information in, and it's a centralized way. You don't actually own the Bitcoin if you keep it on the exchange or their wallet. It's like they're basically like a bank. You can wake up one day like the people in Cyprus, and the government takes all your money in your from your bank account, and there's nothing you can really do about it. It's the whole reason Bitcoin exists, is so that you hold your value. You can send your value anywhere without anybody's permission, no matter if it's government calls it illegal or not. It doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere. Despite the news articles that say Bitcoin's been dead. Like there's a website, bitcoinobituaries.com or something. Bitcoin's been dead over 150 times or whatever by these stupid articles that idiots don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is to set up a hardware wallet when you do get comfortable. I wouldn't suggest doing a hardware wallet right away without doing some research, because it is a big responsibility. You have to be careful about how you store your private keys, and because if you write your keys down wrong, or you lose them in a fire, let's say, or I mean, you want to make sure that it's really secure, and people know, close people know or close people to you know where they are and how to access that. If something would happen to you, because the last thing you want to happen is, you have $1 million of Bitcoin or something, and you pass away, and you're the only one in the family that knows how to, um, you know, back up those keys and access those coins. So, but there's different ways that you have. You can store it on an exchange, which I don't recommend because it's, I don't know, it's putting your trust in a third party, and that's not really the whole design of Bitcoin. There are web wallets, there are mobile wallets. They're all considered hot wallets because they're connected. They're generating your private keys and generating the wallet right on an internet connected device, which there's always that possibility that a hacker is looking at your phone or whatever, your screen, while your private keys are coming up on the screen. So the most secure way is a hardware wallet. Trezor makes them, one kind, and then you have like Ledger. They make hardware wallets too. These devices, they're kind of like a USB device. You plug it into your USB in your computer, and it's a device that's not connected to the internet, so it generates your private keys right on the device. So it's very secure, even if you have a corrupted and malware infested computer. It doesn't matter because it never gets to the device because it's not connected to the internet. So it can't access your private information of your wallet. So it's kind of hard to explain a whole complex system really quick, but that at least gives me somewhere to start. I'm sure there's going to be a million questions, and that's good. I want you guys to ask questions because it's important. Ask questions because it's a new technology. I compare it to like email and the internet in the early '90s because everyone thought it was silly to be sending electronic mail. Why would anybody want electronic mail when they can get a handwritten letter in the mail? And everyone thought it was silly. And then now it's something that we anybody can use, whether you're 4 years old or my frickin' nephew's 2.5 and using phones and stuff. It's crazy, but it'll get easier over time. Bitcoin can only handle like 14 transactions per second right now, and Visa does, like, they can handle, I think, a couple 100,000. So that's a problem. But really smart people are working on it. You have layer 2 solutions where you have the Lightning Network, where you can send Bitcoin on the Lightning Network instantly, the way the payment channels route and everything, and it adds a layer of privacy too, which is really nice. I really should just pick one thing and do a video about that, but go in depth. But yeah. Well, we'll see how this goes, and we'll go from there.